There's always news to report, and the Supreme Court has not let us down at all this week. Once again, they're using the Shadow Docket. For those of you not familiar with the Shadow Docket, it means they can strike down a law and not give you any reason for it. There's no sense of accountability. Not only that, their arguments, their memos, they're all sealed. Every clerk, every person who works for the Justice Department at the Supreme Court, they sign non-disclosure agreements. Luckily, there's always a whistleblower, so we know how the court is operating. And it is not operating in good faith when it will not be transparent. Sure, it's now become very political. It wasn't always so political. And we've got to get back to those times when we know, when we challenge the court ourselves, that we get a really good deliberation from the court. And that's not the case. In one fell swoop, they eliminated Voting Rights Act of 1965. One fell swoop. They didn't care. They said, obviously, minorities have more rights. If they have more rights and they're able to vote, then you don't need the voting rights law. Really? That's just like saying, I'm taking blood pressure medication for my hypertension. Since my hypertension is under control, I don't need the blood pressure medication. But you bet I do. I absolutely do need that blood pressure medication. And so do you if you're taking blood pressure medication to lower your blood pressure. It's only lowered because of the medication. You didn't outgrow it. Just like the Republican in the southern states didn't outgrow discrimination. They're still discriminating. Tennessee is now looking at their map and saying, well, we have one minority district, Memphis, Tennessee. They want to take away the one Democratic district that serves the minority population. And I think those folks must be looking at the 14th Amendment and saying, how can this happen? How can you take away my rights without due process? Well, the Supreme Court just did. Louisiana is looking to gerrymander their state, even though I think about 100,000 folks have already voted in the primaries. They don't care. They think maybe they should go and redo their maps. And everyone else in the South and the West, they're looking to redo their maps, even if voting has started. So we've got a rogue court, we've got a rogue president, and we've got a Congress, a Republican Congress that says, we gotta win no matter what. If it takes gerrymandering wars, that's what we're gonna do, because we wanna win. Is that democracy? Lady Liberty must be weeping, if she could weep, because the rest of us in the country are, and we're mad as hell. We want our voting rights. We don't want that SAVE Act to pass. What it means is it's going to be difficult for many folks who have been voting for years to prove with a birth certificate and a valid ID they were born here. And now what they're going to have to do if you're a woman and you've changed your name so that you now have your husband's name, you'd have to change your birth certificate or take the birth certificate and go back to your maiden name. It's cumbersome for no reason except to assure that Donald Trump can go on with his agenda for the next 2.5 years. And his agenda doesn't work for us at all. Not even a little. Folks all over the country are suffering with high gas prices. The good news? For the first time in March, renewable energy was used more than the fossil fuels. And I think with the Strait of Hormuz being blockaded, folks are looking to go renewable. They're not looking to go more fossil fuels. That's not in our future. Our future is alternative energy. Solar, wind, fusion technology, nuclear power, thermal, geothermal energy, heat pumps, not fossil fuels. In fact, one of the bones of contention with this court was when Obama wanted to phase out coal-powered plants and lower emissions back in the earlier part of this century. The Supreme Court said no. It would cost too much money to the corporations. But what about us? What about our health? I think it's time that we had a plan to unite the country against this administration and say, we don't want AI taking our jobs, and we don't want to be sick. We like our health care, and now millions can't afford it. And that's all thank you to the Supreme Court, because they don't care about we the people, except for the 3 Democratic justices. The others, they're into originalism, and they're into the Shadow Docket and not letting us know why they've decided a case. But it's always, almost always in Trump's favor. And that's a mistake.